Kofi's hand trembled as he touched the red door. It felt warm under his fingers, and the moment he pushed it open, a bright light poured out. The shadows seemed to shrink away and the room grew still. Kofi stepped inside, and the door slammed shut behind him. He found himself in a new, strange place. The ground was soft, like grass, and the air smelled fresh, but the sky above was dark and swirling. It was like nothing Kofi had ever seen. "Welcome," a voice whispered, but there was no one in sight. What had he walked into? What was waiting for him? Kofi looked around, feeling both amazed and confused. He was no longer in the dark room. Instead, he was in a strange world, filled with glowing trees and sparkling rivers. The sky above was dark with swirling clouds, but the ground was soft and glowing with tiny lights. The voice whispered again, "This is where the path leads, but only those with courage can stay." Kofi felt nervous, but his curiosity pushed him forward. As he walked, he noticed strange creatures watching him from the shadows. Were they friendly, or did they hold the key to the mystery he needed to solve? As Kofi walked deeper into the glowing world, he felt the eyes of the strange creatures on him. Some were small and shimmering, while others were large, with glowing eyes that seemed to follow his every move. Kofi's heart raced. Are they going to help me? He wondered. Suddenly, one of the creatures stepped forward, a small glowing figure with wings. It didn't speak, but it motioned for Kofi to follow. Without thinking, Kofi stepped forward. The creature led him to a giant stone, covered in more glowing symbols. What was this stone? What secret did it hold? The creature floated ahead, leading Kofi to the giant stone. It was covered in glowing symbols, just like the ones he had seen before. But these symbols were different, larger and more intricate. Kofi felt a pull towards the stone, as if it wanted him to understand something important. The creature pointed to a small indentation in the stone's surface. It seemed to be the perfect size for the gem Kofi carried. His heart raced. Was this the right moment to use the gem? Was it the key to unlocking the stone's secret? Kofi had to decide. Should he place the gem in the stone? Kofi hesitated for a moment, staring at the small indentation in the stone. The creature floated beside him, its glowing eyes watching patiently. Kofi took a deep breath and pulled the gem from his pocket. It glowed brightly, almost as if it was alive, urging him to place it in the stone. With trembling hands, Kofi carefully set the gem in the indentation. The moment it touched the stone, a powerful wave of energy filled the air. The stone began to hum, and the symbols around it lit up in a brilliant flash of light. Kofi stepped back in surprise. What was happening? As Kofi stepped back, the ground shook gently, and the stone started to move. Slowly, the top of the stone lifted, like a door opening. Inside, Kofi saw something shining. Another gem, but this one was different. It was larger, glowing with a soft blue light, and it seemed to pulse with energy. The creature beside Kofi made a soft sound, almost like a hum, and nodded toward the gem. Kofi reached out to touch it, but as his fingers brushed against it, the stone's voice echoed in his mind. "This is the final piece," it said. What was the final piece? Kofi stared at the glowing blue gem, his hand hovering above it. The stone's voice echoed again. "This is the final piece. With it, you will unlock the greatest secret of the forest." Kofi felt his heart race. What secret? What was the forest hiding? He carefully picked up the gem, and the moment he did, the room around him started to change. The walls of glowing symbols shifted, and the ground beneath his feet began to rise. Suddenly, the floor cracked open, revealing a deep, dark tunnel. Kofi had no choice. He had to go down into the unknown. What awaited him? Kofi felt the cool breeze from the tunnel below, his heart beating fast. He knew he had to go down, but the darkness below felt endless and mysterious. The glowing gem in his hand lit up, casting a soft light in front of him. As Kofi stepped into the tunnel, the walls seemed to close in around him. The air grew colder, and the further he went, the quieter it became. He couldn't hear anything but his own footsteps. Then a distant sound echoed from deep within the tunnel, like a low growl. Kofi stopped. What was making that noise? Was he truly alone? Kofi's heart skipped a beat as the low growl echoed through the dark tunnel. The sound seemed to come from all directions, making the walls feel alive. Kofi gripped the glowing gem tighter, its soft light casting strange shadows on the walls. His steps slowed and he listened carefully. The growl came again, louder this time. Was it an animal or something worse? Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A dark figure, too fast to catch, darted across the tunnel. Kofi froze, staring into the darkness. Was it following him, or was it something he had to face? Kofi's eyes scanned the tunnel, searching for any sign of what had moved. His heart raced, and the tunnel seemed to grow darker the deeper he went. The growl echoed again, but this time it was closer. Kofi could feel something watching him, and he wasn't alone. The shadows shifted, and suddenly a pair of glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. They watched him, unblinking, from the far end of the tunnel. Kofi held his breath. The eyes didn't move, but they seemed to follow him as he took another step. What was it, and what did it want? Kofi's breath quickened as he stared at the glowing eyes. They didn't blink or move, just watched him closely. The growl sphere came again, but this time it was followed by a whisper. You have come far, but this is where it ends. The voice was low and soft, like it was coming from the walls themselves. Kofi felt a cold chill run down his spine. He wanted to run, but his feet felt frozen. The eyes slowly blinked, and a shape began to form in the shadows. Kofi couldn't move. Was it a creature, or something even darker? What was waiting? The shape in the shadows slowly grew clearer. It wasn't an animal, but something strange. A creature made of darkness. It had no body, just shifting shadows that twisted and moved like smoke. The glowing eyes were the only solid thing about it. Kofi felt his legs shaking, but the creature didn't move closer. Instead, it spoke again, its voice echoing all around. You have been chosen, it whispered, but only the brave can pass through. Kofi didn't understand. Chosen for what? He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Was he ready to face whatever was waiting in the shadows? The shadow creature's glowing eyes watched Kofi as he took a step closer. The voice echoed again. To pass through, you must face the challenge. Kofi's heart raced. A challenge? What did that mean? The creature moved slightly, its form swirling like smoke, but it didn't approach. The path you seek is beyond, but not all can reach it, it said. Kofi felt his palms sweat. What kind of challenge would he face? The darkness around him seemed to press in, but Kofi knew he couldn't turn back now. He had come too far. Whatever the challenge, he had to face it. The creature's glowing eyes flickered as it spoke again. Only those who are pure of heart can pass. Kofi felt a wave of confusion. What did it mean to be pure of heart? Before he could ask, the shadows around him began to shift. The tunnel walls seemed to stretch and change. The air grew thick, and Kofi felt a strange pressure in his chest. Suddenly, the path ahead split into two, one dark and one glowing faintly. Choose carefully, the creature whispered. One path leads to safety, the other to danger. Kofi had no choice but to choose. Which path would he take? Kofi stood in front of the two paths, his heart pounding. The glowing path seemed inviting, but the dark one felt mysterious and dangerous. The creature's voice echoed in his mind. Only the brave choose the right path. Kofi glanced down at the glowing gem in his hand. It pulsed with warmth, almost as if it was guiding him. He took a deep breath and stepped towards the glowing path. But as soon as his foot touched the ground, the light flickered and the path grew darker. Was this the right choice? What would happen if he went the other way? Kofi's heart raced as the glowing path darkened. The air felt colder, and the shadows seemed to move around him. He could hear strange whispers, but couldn't tell where they came from. His feet felt heavier with every step, but he kept going, trusting the gem in his hand. Suddenly the path split again, and Kofi saw two doors in front of him, one black and one white. Each door had a symbol on it, but Kofi couldn't understand what they meant. The creature's voice echoed in his mind again. Choose wisely, for this is your final test. Which door should he open? Kofi stood frozen, staring at the two doors. The black door was covered in sharp, dark symbols, while the white door was smooth, glowing softly. He felt torn. Which one was the right choice? The whispers in the air grew louder, but they still didn't make sense. Kofi touched the glowing gem in his hand, and it pulsed with warmth, as if trying to help him decide. Trust your heart, the creature's voice whispered in his mind. Kofi took a deep breath and stepped forward. With a shaky hand, he reached for the white door. What would happen if he was wrong? Kofi slowly pushed the white door open, feeling a strange warmth spread through him. As it creaked, the air seemed to sparkle with energy, and the whispers faded into silence. He stepped inside, and the door slammed shut behind him. The room was bright, filled with soft golden light, but there was something unusual about it. Everything looked the same. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, like the one in the stone chamber. On it was another gem, even more dazzling than the others. Kofi took a step forward. What was this new gem? What would it unlock? Kofi couldn't believe his eyes. The new gem on the pedestal was brighter than anything he had seen before. Its light seemed to fill the whole room, and Kofi felt drawn to it. As he reached out to touch it, a voice echoed in his mind. This is the final gem. It holds the power to reveal the forest's deepest secrets. Kofi hesitated. What secrets could it reveal? Was he ready for the truth? As his fingers brushed the gem, the room began to shake, and the walls cracked open, revealing a hidden passage. Where would this passage lead? What truth awaited him? The hidden passage was dark, with only the light from the gem to guide Kofi. As he stepped forward, the walls around him began to glow, showing ancient markings Kofi had never seen before. The path twisted and turned, and strange sounds filled the air. It was as if the forest itself was alive, whispering secrets just out of reach. Kofi's heart beat faster with every step. Was he getting closer to the truth? He continued on, feeling both excited and afraid. The deeper he went, the more the path seemed to pull him forward. What would he find at the end?